What's up? My name is Shan. I am a community manager over at League of Geeks. This is basically a VOD of our recent Jumplight Odyssey NextFest wrap-up stream. In this video, I am joined by Trent, who is our studio director and our studio co-founder. The demo's been absolutely crazy. I think, the biggest thing that everybody's been focusing on is ham. Where does ham come from?
So the first piece of concept art for Jumplight Odyssey was the lineup that you see, the key art. It was slightly different, we tweaked the era and the princess changed and all this sort of stuff, but that sort of same composition of the key art on Steam is the first piece of concept art, and ham's just been there since the start.
So there wasn't really a purpose of putting the pig on the ship. Does he have any functions? Is there anything that he can accomplish as a pig?
Yeah, so as a mascot, basically Ham will increase people's morale on the ship, like if they interact with him, especially so if you're you have a trait where you're predisposed to animals or whatever, he will definitely lift your morale. So the idea of mascots is to help lift morale and stuff around the ship, but they also have other things that they can get into their own little shenanigans and stuff
Mischief.
like that.
There's also been some crazy interactions between the crew members. What was the kind of mindset, I guess, between having that in Jumplight Odyssey?
Well, one of the huge parts about star blazers and Macross and these things in space is that they're not just as much as they are nerdy space battle tech porn, they're actually relationship, they're human dramas, and the most powerful episodes are the episodes where it's really about the nature of human existence or the human condition, and we just knew that from the very start we wanted to have this be this really colorful village, and in a way like a leadership simulator. So we build out this system that involves traits, involves quirks, involves needs, involves emotional states and statuses, and they can have this interacting, cascading effect with each other. So not only with, the environment around them, but with their actual crewmates. So a lot of this we're not exposing in the game right now, but if you send out an away mission and you jump away, let's say before the away mission returns, and you lose, say, 3 members, one of those members is going to have a lover on the ship, and that lover might have been already had gotten into a fight with Ham because Ham's their rival for whatever reason, and then this thing losing their partner just sends them over the edge, and they actually have a mental break and they stop going to work, they stop showering, they're actually irritable, they start yelling at everyone. You might even see them go to the memorial wall, which is just below the holodeck in the flight deck, and you might see them mourning their partner there, because they've lost them. And that can have a cascading effect on other members of the crew because they're shitty, they get into a fight with other people, and it affects their stress. And this is what sort of creates that third threat within the game. So we have adversarial threats, which are the Zutopans that are chasing you. Then we have environmental threats, which might be you warp into a system where the temperature is colder, or, for example, we have the ring giant in the demo and it slows your away missions. And then we have internal threats. And that's where the relationship system really kicks in and really shines.
Considering that we found a lot of community members have really wanted to understand what the priority of their crew is, actually. Will there be opportunities in the future to be able to order the crew around?
We know that we need more agency to reach into the simulation and, influence what's going on. But how do we do that within a captaincy level? One of the ways that we've spoken about it is prioritization. So maybe you want your supply division to be prioritizing hauling as opposed to prioritizing feeding, the masses or something like that.
Yeah.
We already obviously have some ways to do that through the alert system and everything, but it's a bit too broad. So maybe there's a way, and I'm just talking off the top of my head here, there's a bunch of ways that we could go through this, but maybe you do it via your officers, where you tell your supply division officer, hey, I want you and your crew to prioritize these things.
Yeah. And
so that's one example of how we can give the player more tools to prioritize, agency within the game, and interact with the simulation in ways that are more immediately meaningful and purposeful to them and their mission, but through the eyes of being a starship captain without sort of ruining that fantasy or that player context.
Could you maybe explain a little bit how the actual supply chain in Jumplight Odyssey functions and how it works right now compared to EA?
Okay, so to explain our resource chain, first you need to understand the principle that we have for the game, which is what you see is what you get. So in order to create this toy-like simulation, we wanted to have a resource chain that you can follow around the place and that actually makes sense, that is a fully enclosed simulation and everything that it needs. So let's talk about something like materials, right? So you want to make metal. You need materials. You're going to send off an away mission. You're going to put crew, who are a resource as well in a colony sim, naturally. You're going to put them on that ship. They're going to go off. They're going to get you materials, and they're going to bring them back. They're going to drop off little resource cubes for materials at the ship when they get off the ship. Someone from the supply division is going to come from wherever they are, whatever they're doing, and they're going to be assigned to collect those materials, and then they're going to store them. They're going to take them, pick them up, put them on their little hover trolley, and they're going to store them in a cargo hold. Then someone else is going to be from supply division, is going to be in charge of hauling those materials to a metal fabricator, and they're going to take them from the cargo hold all the way up to whatever deck you've built your metal fabricator on, and they're going to put them next to the machine so that the folks working the metal fabricator can then actually take the materials and transfer it into metals. And then of course, they will then go on, be placed in the cargo hold by someone else in the supply division. And then they'll be hauled to a site, a build site where you've put down a construction plan, and then engineers will turn those resources into whatever you need. That's just one resource going from materials to metals. There is a lot that we need to do there right now with the what you see is what you get to help surface and elevate those things, those systems to the player so that you can see your resource chain in our colony sim and understand where those sinks are, where the dependencies are, and how to interact with it more thoughtfully and with a greater deal of intentionality.
And so there's a lot of conversation internally as we approach early access of like, okay, there are two things that we need to have going on with the resource chain. First of all is that like, you know, it's not that it's so much broken when things don't arrive. It's that players don't have the tools to diagnose as to why these things aren't happening, like why their materials aren't showing up. And then they don't really have the tools sometimes when they do diagnose it to actually affect that. And that's that agency of reaching into the system, you know, like we were talking about through the premise of being a starship captain.
Sometimes people felt like it was really hard to make decisions because they couldn't find information on like oxygen or water. Did you have any insights on these UI/UX improvements?
Yeah, totally. So there are a couple of things that we really need to do that are some of the most like critical things going into early access that we're focusing on. And there are a number of ways that we can solve them. So I can't talk to actual solutions or what you can expect to see in early access, but what I can talk about is a problem space that we're working with. And that is that right now, things can break down in your resource chain, whether that be like a crew member enters a broken state, which is, you know, their morale is broken and they cease to work or they start to cause issues on the ship. Or you say, for example, your metal fabricator isn't working, which is a bug. So maybe that's a bad example, but let's just say that hypothetically, right? Or your atmosphere is critical, and there are minimal ways for you as a starship captain or a player to diagnose what's happening, where it's happening, why it's happening. And then after that, there's actually minimal agency that you have as a player to address those things. Is a real lack of ways of diagnosing issues on your ship, understanding like what they are, and then so first of all, sometimes even knowing that there are problems, and then diagnosing what they are, and then being able to effectively address them. And so those three things are what we're really working on heading into early access is the most important thing.
The idea of combat is not to actively engage the enemy. It's to hold them off long enough so that you can get the hell out of there, right? What's the kind of thinking and what was the decision making behind that, I guess, game design choice?
This isn't a game where you turn your ship around and you like take on Admiral Voltan with your, you know, with your blasters and, you know, your, you know, whatever. That's not this game. This isn't a space battle game. This is a starship adventure sim. You are trying to outrun the evil Zutopans and get to the Forever Star. You're on a royal like cruiser. You're not on a capital warship. You're not on a battleship. We do have plans for other ships, whether that be a V1.0 or beyond. And potentially some of those ships will be like larger ships with more defenses or anything. But there's never going to be a version of this game where you're like, you know, just picking any system to go to. You're not going from left to right. You're chasing the Zutopans or anything like that. You are the prey in Jumplight Odyssey. That is the premise of the game.
Could you maybe speak to the other modes that we plan on releasing with EA?
So when we release the game, there'll be your journeys, which have your starship and your captain, and there'll be sort of more authored, like almost like campaigns where things are happening, and that's like, you know, Euphoria's journey. So the start of Euphoria's journey is the demo that you played in NextFest. But then you can also just play like a sandbox mode, essentially, which is like one of the primary ways to play the game. And when you play that mode, you can actually choose whether you want chill, classic, or hectic. Hectic is the Zutopans are ruthless in their pursuit, if like way more intense than right now. So yeah, for those of you who are looking for space battles or really want to up that ante and be kept on your toes, that's a like hard mode, so to speak. Then we have classic, which is that perfect balance of like the Zutopans on your tail, but still having a time to, you know, chill out every now and then. And then we have chill mode, which is the Zutopans literally will never chase you. Within early access, it's kind of hard to say like what is actually coming definitely. But some things that we can definitely confirm with high confidence is absolutely chill mode, as I was speaking about. We also have, like, talking about different ways to play the game, we have longer runs. We will absolutely have way more systems to visit. So obviously the demo now ends after 3 jumps. That's not going to be the case for early access. We're not going to have all the way open until the Forever Star, just like many early access games. But you'll be able to jump, you know, if every system is like 10 to 15 minutes or whatever in it, there'll be a number of jumps in there. You'll have hours of play. We're going to have a save load system that was obviously not there for the NextFest demo. And then there's just all of that work that we're doing to help really take the ways in which you need to interact with the game, or the game needs your attention, and surfacing them up for you as a player, and then giving you that agency to be able to reach into the game, be able to affect the systems, be able to drive the crew to do what you need to achieve your mission.
I just wanted to say a massive thank you on behalf of the League of Geeks development team. All of the love that you have put out into the world for Jumplight Odyssey has meant the absolute world to us. We've taken all of the feedback, we received lots of it on board. Our game design's working hard, everybody's working hard to make sure that it is truly the best version of the game that we could all hope for. Just wanted to say thank you for anybody that's wishlisted, anybody that played through the demo, anybody that chatted about us on social media. It all made it so incredible to be part of the whole journey. Make sure you stick around, there's always something happening in JLo land. Community events, playthroughs, competitions, and our developers log, which comes out monthly, that you can learn little tidbits about the game, and we'll update you on how we're doing. Until next time, hope you stick around. See you soon.